All right, so let's go ahead and dive into the basic steps of the data science process. First, let's look at this overview of all the steps that we're going to be needing to take. First, we'll be collecting our data. Second, we'll be cleaning it up. Third, we'll be exploring it. Fourth, will be to build a model. And fifth, will be to interpret or analyzing this data. Now, one of the crucial steps in the data science process is gathering the initial data that we'll work with. So obviously, where can we get this information from? Some examples of sources that we can get it from are databases, web scraping, or surveys. Databases are basically just organized collections of information. Databases already have all the data that you may need about a topic, and it will already be organized for you. So this can be an easy, accessible way. Next, we have web scraping. This involves just extracting the data from websites or from the internet in any way. And finally, we have surveys, which is just to gather direct responses from individuals about a topic. Obviously, there are many other ways you could probably collect data, but these are just the main ways that we're going to look over. Now, what types of data are there? There could be qualitative and quantitative data, but what are these? Qualitative data is descriptive, it's non-numerical, and it mainly describes traits or characteristics, versus quantitative data, which is numerical information, and this information can be counted or measured. Let's dive into some examples of these. First off, for qualitative data. One sector of this could be categorical data, meaning we could be, for example, logging colors of cars under categories like red, blue, and white. We could have categories of many different things from many different topics. For example, if we want to do it by fruit or color, as shown in this example, there are many ways that we can do this. Next, we have textual data. An example of this can be customer reviews on Amazon or on Google. An example of that is on the side. These all right here, if you believe it or not, is data. It's qualitative data, which, as we reviewed in the first video, businesses can use. Another way to look at qualitative data is through images, audio, and video. These are all obviously just visuals or recordings that can be used to decipher something into a topic. Next, we have quantitative data. Now, this obviously is numerical. We have numerical and time series data. Numerical data is data involving counts, measurements, sizes, or more. We can look at this through using a ruler, using a scale, using a thermometer, things like that. Time series data is data points recorded over specific time intervals showing changes over time. An example that we can see over here is measuring the time it takes for plant growth daily. We can see this person using a ruler daily to keep track of the plant's growth every day. So think about it simply as this. Qualitative data will mainly use words, while quantitative data will use numbers. Now let's explore how we can collect data. Well, we can do it through primary or secondary data. Primary data is data that you collect yourself. This can be an example of when you're conducting a survey. You may want to go up to someone and just ask them all the questions you need, and that way you are gaining the information yourself. Or for example, if someone wants to do some research on something and they conduct all the experiments themselves, that is also primary data because they are going ahead and doing it themselves. However, you can also do secondary data. This is data that has been previously collected by someone else that you can use now. Let's say someone had already researched plant growth and what factors affect it. Well, that would be primary data. However, if you want to look into it without conducting the experiment yourself, you can go ahead and use their data. That would be secondary data for you. Another thing that's very important when collecting data is the organization. First of all, we have structured data. This is data organized in a predefined format, typically with rows and columns that you would see in a table or a spreadsheet. This is the main way that a lot of people will organize all of their data into rows, columns with different headings on each. Now, unstructured data is data that does not have a specific predefined format. These can be text documents, emails, images, and videos, mainly things that may not be as easy to structure in just rows and columns. Now, step 2 in the data science process is cleaning data. meaning handling missing values, removing any duplicates, and fixing formatting. Now let's look at this table right here. This is data on students and their math and science grades and attendance. Now if we look at the math and science areas over here, we can see that the data is, obviously, their grades. But what else do we notice? We notice that it is both numerical and textual data. We see an 85, a 78, a 76, but we also see good and excellent, an A and a B minus. What we want to make sure we do is to have consistency in our data. We should either choose the numerical or the textual data. Let's say I prefer to have numerical data, meaning I would want Alice to keep her 85 in math, but for her science grade, I wouldn't want a good. I want a numerical value representing that good. Maybe that's a 92, maybe that's an 86, but we don't know. We want to be able to handle this value and be able to fix that in our formatting. Next, let's look at the attendance over here. We have a present here, P, absent, and then just a gap for Eve. Again, as I said, we want consistency. Either we want to just show present and absent values, or just a P and an A to represent them. But we also just want to make sure that there aren't any gaps. So we would want to find Eve's information for attendance. So if I wanted to do this, let's say, for example, I just want to use one letter. So let's say for Alice, I put P for present. For Bob, I would put P, since here means present. Charlie would keep the P. For David, I would put an A. And for Eve, I would have to find a way to fill in this value, which of course we will go into more in the later videos of how to handle these missing values. Step 3 would be exploring data. This can be done through statistics and graphs. Let's look at statistics more. Statistics provide us with the tools to summarize and understand the key characteristics of our data. So this can be done through many different ways. Let's say I want to find the mean, the median, the mode of something. Maybe I want to see the range, the difference between the maximum and minimum values that I'm seeing. We can also do this through making graphs. All of the stats that I just mentioned, the mean, median, mode, the range of something, this can also be put into a more visual way. Let's say you're a more visual person and you want to organize your data into that way. Well, if you want to explore your data in a visual format, you can use many things like bar charts, line charts, a scatter plot, histograms, or pie charts. Clearly, there are many ways that you can go ahead and explore your data. You can go ahead and make it more visual to make it easier for you to analyze later. Step 4, we have building a model. This requires training a machine learning model to recognize patterns and make predictions. And this really does help us make more predictions about the new or unseen data. Now, machine learning algorithms learn from patterns in our data, just like student learns from examples. And once trained, these models can make predictions or classify new information. Now, that may sound very tricky, but let's just look at some examples that we may see in our everyday life. One example could be predicting customer churn. So something could be able to predict when a customer is about to leave a website, or what things they do before a customer realizes, I don't want to be on this web page anymore. Our machine learning models can use that. Next is classifying emails as spam or not spam. Have you ever wondered how your email automatically knows if it's a spam or not spam? Again, machine learning algorithms can predict this through the patterns in data. And finally, recommending products. Based on how you are clicking on products in advertisements and such, again, machine learning algorithms can detect these patterns and recommend products to people accordingly. Next up, our last step is interpreting our results. This means we want to analyze and present insights that can help in decision making. This allows us to come up with visualizations and translate them into meaningful insights. And this can help people in general make better decisions, not just you. So first off, we can think about understanding a model's performance. Let's say you've created a model, and you might want to interpret it and think about how accurate are our predictions. This way you can test your model and see what comes up. Next, you also want to identify the key findings. What are the most important relationships and patterns that you've uncovered through these findings? And of course, communicating your insights, as we mentioned, through visuals and textual evidence and explanations. Now let's look at an example over here. Let's say you have a data table with the week that an ice cream store is open, with the temperature of all those days, and the sales made. By sales, as we can see from this data table, is how many scoops that they were able to sell. Now, what you might want to do when interpreting results is looking at trends or patterns. So we can notice here that on days with higher temperatures like 30, 28, and 25, there were way more scoops sold during the higher temperatures, which makes sense. And then on cooler days like 18, we are able to see that the ice cream sales tend to be way lower. It's only 13 on this day. So just like that, this is just an example, but just like that, you can interpret way more larger databases, data sets, and be able to analyze those results. Thank you so much for coming through this video, and next up we're going to get started with Python to go ahead and help us out with all of these steps.